everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to the latest installment of our daily Vortices. Today we have what name do you want the people
Cat.
to know? Cat. Just go by Cat. Let's leave it at that. Cat. Okay. Now um, she's got some stories to tell about some shit that happened to her in this town. And that's how we're going to leave it right there, you know. These are true stories about stuff that happened, and they need to be heard. They need to be put out there and made public record. And we're using our platform here, our Daily Vortices, to do that. So here we go. Kat, go ahead.
Well, first of all, back in the 90s, you guys were talking about sheriffs, okay? You guys were blaming Lesky and everything else. But Lesky was not the only one that was having issues. There was other officers that were selling bad weed.
Getting low. Speaking
and,
of weed.
They got away with it, and this is, mind you, before.
Speaking of weed, look, she was kind of low indeed.
But mind you, this is before
okay.
It got legalized, okay? So technically this cop is selling weed to my neighbor, which I went and bought when I was, and then I find out I'm pregnant, so I quit.
Trying to get a bowl of weed.
And
there's a stem.
Needless to say, I find out
here's a seed.
that that weed that they had sold me from that officer was no good.
Stem.
That it was contaminated and literally killed me and my son at the hospital.
Here's another stem.
And they were able to bring my son back right away, but they had a hard time bringing me back. And when they fully investigated at the hospital, they found out that it was the weed that I had smoked.
Bad weed. Yes,
which is bad weed from an officer.
Bad weed.
And,
there's a movie. I think there's a movie. We need to review that movie together.
Given me bad weed that stayed in the extra fatty tissue that a woman has that a man don't have. And because of that, it killed me and my son on the table. And how I found out was by the doctors checking through everything and finding out that, yes, it was when I was a month pregnant with my son and did not know. I found out 2 days later, and I quit. Well, so the last weed that I had was from that officer. And go figure, it was tainted weed. And that is what killed me and my son. And then they even went as far to call my father and tell him I was deceased. And mind you, I call him an hour later, and he's asking me if I'm calling from heaven. Because the nurse never called back to tell him I was alive and that I had made it through it.
That's real messed up, you know.
So,
that's a suck zone situation.
Yeah, that is sort of a suck zone situation because...
Speaking, by the way, we are going to make a movie called Suck Zone, and we want a bunch of people in it. Okay?
But, it's crazy because, this is something that really happened, and then, like, within 2 months after this, I go to buy a car from, a older person out here, and I had bought the car for $500. Well, I had bought it on a weekend, and because of the fact that I bought it on the weekend, I had to wait till Monday. And so I waited till Monday, and I'm driving down there to get it registered.
It's legal, right? And I can do this on camera.
Then I am sitting there, and I'm like, what the hell's going on, So this officer pulls me over, and he says, well, you don't have no plates, miss. He goes, so... And I tell him, I said, well, I just bought it over the weekend. I'm taking it up to DMV.
Okay.
Well, as he had pulled me over, he asked me, do you got blue eyes? And I looked at him. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this officer?
Can Ron do it? So, I'll pretend. We'll go, and then we'll go like, Where the officer? Oh, here, let me hide the tits. Excuse me, miss. You got blue eyes.
So I was sort of concerned at that point, okay? I mean, I was like, there's something wrong with this officer that's, mind you, on a motorcycle. You know, police motorcycle at that, okay? So, luckily, my girlfriend Janet the next day, that was in the car, decides to go to her doctor's to confirm she is pregnant.
By the way, there is a little couple grains in there if you want them. No, we've been smoking anyway.
So, needless to say,
the last bowl.
She goes to this doctor, and this officer is in the next room over, getting his Thorazine pills, okay? Well, that makes me wonder, okay, why do you have a police officer that is on the Thorazine shuffle, okay, on a motorcycle? I mean, talk about scary.
He might be fine as long as he's on his Thorazine. See? The psychosis under
but obviously control. He wasn't okay, you know?
It's like me, myself, and I, well, we're psychotic. We do fine as long as we got the Ziprazidone. It takes all the multiples of activities it's in this brain.
Well, see, that is the whole thing. You know, if he had been medicated,
and moderates it.
But that's my point.
Like we got to only have a panel of people on the
Obviously,
stage and a moderator.
Obviously, he wasn't medicated enough at the time when he pulled me over, though. Because why would he ask me, not once, not twice, but 3 times, do you got blue eyes? I mean, come on, you know, I mean, what the hell, you know? But anyway, Janet goes to find out she's pregnant.
Okay.
And on side of her, she can hear through the walls because the walls are like paper. Mm-hmm. And she hears him getting his Thorazine prescription, you know. I mean, it sort of concerns me because, you know, it's supposed to be an officer to help, you know, the community and everything. But yet, you have him on a motorcycle, and obviously probably not on his meds, because otherwise why would he be talking that way? You know? And I mean, that just makes you wonder, a matter of safety. You know? I mean, granted, I did not have plates on there because I just bought the car, but I had a reason for that. What was his reason in talking like that? The only thing I can figure is he was not on his meds.
Yeah, his medicine had not taken effect yet, or something. He shouldn't have been out on patrol yet.
But yet he was.
Yeah. Talking
like that. I mean, that's like a red flag all of a sudden, you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I mean, even with the Binion murder, okay?
Oh, now that's a whole thing.
Oh, no.
We got personal involvement in the whole case.
I do too, okay?
Oh, no.
Well, here's the whole thing. Okay, with me.
Then you get to hear how I'm involved.
Here's the whole thing with me. I hadn't planned on getting involved at all, okay? I was merely thrown into it because I went to see about getting a place to rent. And the place that I went to rent, holy moly, had to be where the witnesses had been living before I moved. Okay? So I am over at my next door neighbor's one day, and here comes 4 police cars into my driveway, me not knowing what's going on, okay? I mean, I had heard about the Binion murder, but I wasn't really following it too closely, you know, so here I got 4 officers in my yard, and I don't know why. So I had my neighbor...
You hear what I have to tell you.
So I had my neighbor walk with me over there that was an ex-Chicago police officer. And I told him, I said, I don't know what's going on.
Actually,
I need you to come with me.
Actually, it was Ron. We had Ron on the outside.
So he came with me.
Let Ron tell you.
And we went over there.
Okay.
And they said, well, we're looking for so-and-so. And I said, well, those must have been people that lived here before. I said, because I've been living here for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I said, and I don't know none of those people that you're talking about. So I had to let them look in through my whole house
Okay.
to show them that it was just me and my kids, okay, living there.
Okay.
And that there was no people that they were talking about, you know. And so, like, I'm going, what's going on here? You know, I mean, it makes you wonder. You know, and then at that same household, you know, over the mountain, you see a helicopter go into the mountain, and it disappears. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then come to find out, there's a barrier over there to where the helicopter goes into.
Not
Okay.
a barrier, you mean a compound.
A compound, yeah.
It's up there, it's over here on the hillside over
Mhm.
here. You can go on Google Maps and find it.
So
We'll show you. We'll pull up. We're going to end up doing some editing. Okay, so this can't be totally live because guess what? Because we're on the subject of that whole subject. Well, you know, now we're going to have to pull up a map. We're going to have to put the map in there, blah, blah, and then we're on the subject because there's a song, okay? I'm going to perform the song, okay? Make a music video now with the song to go with this whole deal.
But mind
okay?
you,
So that
but
means
mind
that,
you,
that
after
means it's going to be a few weeks before this ever gets out on the air.
Right, but mind you, after the helicopter goes down,
Okay.
in that hole, okay, this thing rumbled the whole ground so bad that I was outside trying to, off of Horn Street, where I was living at the time, where the Binion, I guess, witnesses were living, had lived prior to me. I went to water my flowers, and I went to turn off the water, and right after that helicopter going in there, I feel this boom, to the point to where it literally knocks me down. And my friends in the car are yelling at me, Kat, are you okay? Kat, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, but something knocked me down. I said, that big boom, you know? And then that's when I found out that they had a whole center over there where that helicopter went in. So, and that they got a lot of crazy stuff going on over there, but...
All right, anyway, can I have the floor now?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can tell you my thing about the Binion story. It started, my involvement started this way. We installed cameras for a company called Totally Hidden Video. It was a friend of mine, as Brad Perry, started the company. We helped him helped them formulate the business model, went with them, helped them, show them how to get the business license and blah, 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 blah. You know, basically helped him get his business started and then worked with him for a long time installing cameras.
Right.
Okay? So now, here's how this goes. He meets Ted Binion. Okay? He hooks up a deal with us, becomes friends, and then hooks up a deal to install cameras to become security for his ranch, for the Vegas one. For the Vegas ranch. Okay, that's how I know that he kept a rowboat in a swimming pool. Okay? You got a rowboat, right? Where are you going to store it, right? He says, well, let's just put it in a swimming pool. Anyway, he was trying to kick heroin. He wanted me and Brad to take him in his basement and tie him up. Okay? This is how close we were to Ted. Okay? So now, moving along to murder story. Okay? It starts this way. And we're finally going public with this. And Brad and the detectives and all that didn't even want me in court. They wanted to protect me. But we could have put her in jail. And she belongs in jail. Sandy belongs in jail. And we're saying it right now. Okay? Because it works this way. Because we know about the moldy money. I'm the one that discovered the thing about the VCR. And guess what? There's a song about it. The gold digger and the silver digger. And I'm just going to tell everybody. I left everybody, every time I performed the song, left everybody to guess who it was about. No more. I'm going to just tell everybody who it's about. The gold digger and the silver digger. Sandy's the gold digger and Ted's the silver digger. He was the one caught digging up Ted's silver coins. Okay. Anyway, so it worked this way. I'm on my motorcycle going up Charleston. And there was this just a little ways past up the freeway of Charleston. There was this one that's like a Home Depot, but I forget what it was. It was something like that, you know, and or shopping center there, and we pull up to the light. Her and Rick Tabish, and she's driving, and they're in their little convertible sports car, and I'm on my motorcycle, and I look over, looking down, really down there, look, and she's right there. See, like Sabrina, she's right there. There's Sandy. There, see where Sabrina is. Hi, Sandy, how you doing? What's going on? You know, she looks up at me. Oh, we're just out for a drive, me and Rick. It's like, oh, you and Rick. Well, what about Ted? It's like, oh, well, we're gonna, you know, we're gonna split up. And it's like, oh, you and Ted are through. And it's like, and she says, he's through, all right. And it's like, oh, what's that mean? And then Rick spouts up and says, oh, she's only kidding. Okay, Little White Lie. And guess what? The song's name is White Lies. Okay, and you watch for it out there, okay? We're going to stick it out on Patreon. Okay? All right. This music video is going on Patreon.
Right.
Okay? And we'll put a little teaser here on YouTube and the full video you can watch on Patreon. So, yeah, so she said he's through all right, and what that means, oh, she's only kidding. And it went on about that, and it come to find out that when I heard the story on the news, when I saw it on the news, I knew it was a white lie that he told. He told a white lie about what she said. Okay? And then it went on, and the case come up. And then the thing, we found the VCR, and the blah, blah, and the blah, blah, and the blah, all of the moldy money that was in the swamp cooler. Empty safe that was... Okay, he kept his safes empty. He'd put fake money in his safes and then hide the real money. Yeah, and he had a bunch of money in an evaporative cooler, and Sandy knew about it. And that's where the moldy money came from. In case anybody knows, and yeah, she spent some of it, and that was a big mistake, and that's what's going to put her in jail now, because we're going to pull it back on the case. But no, or isn't there? Well, she's been tried, and she can't be retried again.
Right.
Okay. We can send a fucking lightning bolt, though. Huh?
Yep.
We can collectively put all our energy together. Now, here's how this works. I'm going to just explain it this way. Okay. Strings, everything's made of strings. Okay? Okay, now there's strings that aren't long enough to stay tangled. That's what ends up being your photons, vertical particles. When the wave patterns come together and they add together and the strings come together and tangle for a moment, and they travel as a particle tangled with that wave pattern. So it's a wave and a particle. Okay? My friend Stephen Hawking and I, we talked about this years ago when we took a ride on the bus together. Okay? So, when we talked, before he ever got his book, we talked about his book. Anyway, and we talked about that collider too, you know, that was named after Ron's big head. It was Ron's big idea,
Right.
Okay, to build it bigger and to send them this way. You know, so guess what? If you could ever get like 2/3 of the speed of light this way, when they come together, guess what? You'd add 2/3 plus 2/3. What do you get?
That's true.
It's 1.5 times the speed of light. Anyway, so, but they did it. They found, and Higgs boson exposed the elusive clown, the boson, the clown, that was sought after by Higgs. Okay, from the Higgs field, which is the strings that come together. Okay, so the stuff that came together in the beginning, that stayed particles, that stayed, became your the neutrinos that make the photons. I mean, that make the protons. Okay, anyway, so they come together and make solid particles because they're just long enough where they stay entangled in the vibrations. And the vibrations of all in the Higgs field that happens on all frequencies pushes everything together on the local level, and ultimately, because it's a big wave pattern and this small wave pattern is in it and stuff, that the galaxies are far apart, and it pushes the galaxies far apart. See, so now I've given you just a quick lesson in just basic quantum mechanics. You know, go into this now and say, well, because string theory provides that there's 11 dimensions, that we have awareness, direct awareness. Humans, if they're smart and aware, if they're truly aware, they have awareness of more than 3. They have awareness of more than 4. They have awareness of 5 and maybe 6 if they really think about it hard enough. So you have the X, Y, and Z dimensions. Okay, those are the 3 physical dimensions. Then guess what? There's time, and then that's 4. And then there's the internal dimension, which then is part of that, which affects your perception of time and affects everything else you do. And there's a whole range of subdimensions in the internal in that dimension, which within that realm come the awarenesses of other phenomena that can't be explained through scientific experiment, which come into the realm of the 6th dimension, which then you're coming in away from the physical, from the physical particles we can see, and then into the realm of those particles that can entangle to the Higgs field, whereby various forms of energies can couple or decouple in that field from whatever forces that may be driving them. Okay? So now this is how psychic phenomenon happens, is we've got, well, first of all, about quantum entanglement. Well, in the beginning, there's lots of pre-entangled particles. There may be an entangled particle between me and Kat. Okay? All right, that entangled particle in our being, our thoughts are on quantum, occur on a quantum level, and time goes on, they will find that anyway. so within everything, there's pre-entangled particles. So that's what gives way to psychic phenomenon. Okay. And also the phenomenon of ghosts and all that other stuff, which, my keyboard right there, I wish I could catch some of that on camera. Well, there was a chair the other day. There was nothing that could have been in a wind, the fan wasn't on, and the chair goes, and it turns. I turn it back, and it turns again. And I turn it back, and I say, do it again. Turn on the camera. Do it again. Do it again. And it won't happen. Well, because they that are on that other realm, the energies that make up the consciousnesses that occupy those other dimensions, can't reach through into this dimension unless there's a strong enough wave pattern from something, some gravity wave that comes through for them attached to, for their energies to combine to become strong enough to make an action. Okay? That all makes sense when you put it together that way, don't it? Yeah.
And I gotta say another thing for Grump and Vegas, okay? It's funny because, I hear it so much out there, when I've gone in Vegas, when I've gone around towns, gone around the town of Grump. So many people try to say, well, they took down all the mobsters and there's no mobsters involved with these cops no more. Well, I got news for you. Yes, there is. And, they may hide it, okay? But if you really, really watch, you'll see for yourselves what I'm talking about. There's too many little things that get covered up. And they shouldn't be covered up at all. Don't you agree?
Yeah, well, yeah, personally, I don't know of anything right now. I know I have personal experience we've had with this sheriff's department out here. We spent a night in jail, and at that time, it was like, well, because we're hermaphroditic and whatever, they set us down actually, would you feel more comfortable with the men's or the women's? And I should have said the women's side. It would have had a lot more fun. Anyway, but see now, I feel comfortable. I would feel comfortable doing that now, because we got the X now where it says sex.
Right.
So, by the way, we're going to clarify that, and we're going to make sure DMV. We're going to let DMV know. Okay, people that get the X, okay, going to have to start showing proof. You need to be. That's what it's for. It's for hermaphrodites. It's not for people who think they were born in the wrong body. It's not for all transgender people. Transgender is a whole nother thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's the sex, which is your physicality, and then there's your gender, which is your mentality. And understand the difference. And your mentality is, well, you're maybe born in a female body. If you're a female, then you're a standard mentality, physicality. If you're born male in a male body, okay, and you feel that you're in the right body, it's a typical physicality, mental and see. Now there's the B typical, which is the other kind, which they're born female, think they should have been male. And then there's that male, the opposite version of that, born male, think they should have been female.
Right.
Okay. Then there's a whole other version of people that are just plain gay. That's like, well, they're bisexual. They're female, they're born female, they feel the female, but they like females. Okay? And then there's men born male, they feel they're male, and they like males. That's gay. That's, let me know, drop gay. Gay means, oh, happy, 1920s, 30s, 30s. You look it up in the dictionary. Drop that fucking word, stupid people. Now, yeah, I'm calling you stupid because as long as you get it wrong, you're stupid. You need to look in the dictionary and learn. Okay? Don't fucking just, what am I doing? Somebody on the internet, somebody so. No, you look in the dictionary, dummy. And if you don't own a dictionary, there's one online.
It's called Google.
Yeah. Yeah, Google the word gay and it'll come up. Back in the 1930s, and they used to love jazz and, bebop and big band, and then the big bopper was up at the... Okay, see? And they're all gay. And I'm gay in that way, too. I love, when I get happy, I get gay. Okay? And gay don't mean you suck a cock. Okay? Cock sucking means you cock. Okay, if you suck a cock, you're a cock sucker.
Right.
Well, a lot of girls are cock suckers and proud of it. And that's okay.
That's
totally
their
okay.
choice.
That's their choice. Some women, well, actually, me, too, kind of pride yourself on your ability to, like, stick it in or keep it in there. Hold it for a long time. What do you call it? Extended deep throat. Put it in there and breathe still. Keep it in there like for hours. It's like, well, anyway. Maybe there's nobody like me. One of a kind.
Your original.
Yeah, there's only, us. See, I gotta clarify that too. See, there's me mentally. There's me and myself and I. So yeah, Ron, he wants to talk some more. So anyway, I need to practice. Everybody do it this way. So like this. Look. So let me tell you how it goes. So, the other day, I get this phone call, right? It's Publishers Clearinghouse, They don't normally call people, you know what I'm saying? But so anyway, so the guy on the phone goes, yeah, it's Publishers Clearinghouse. You won somebody did $2.5 million, that kind of shit, right? Like, oh, really? So it gives me that number, Publishers Clearinghouse number, gives me the address, all that other shit, And I check it out and it's correct. So I believe in this guy now, So it comes and talks about a Mercedes-Benz and all that other shit, But and it finally comes around and like, well, in order to collect your prize, you need a grant, a golden seal of approval. It's like, oh, here it comes. I'm thinking in my back of the head. Okay, here it comes. This is where you got to come up with some money. So now we look up at the golden seal of approval online while he's talking. and you know what he says? What it says is like, Publisher Clearinghouse is the real deal. and they put it in there themselves. We, unfortunately, people take advantage of our good name and so on. The Publisher Clearinghouse will never ask you to pay money to collect your prize.
Right.
There you go. So scammed. So guess what's going to happen? I'll let Roni tell you the rest. So anyway, what's going to happen is we got the phone number of the guy because we led him to believe we were going to come up with the money.
Right.
So we're running the sting on him. So I wanted to make this video first and let it out there, record it first, and then do the sting. And I'm going to record that and put it in this video with it. I'm going to edit it together, put it in the stream. I'm going to put that. We'll go to Google Maps and show you that compound we were talking about too, and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But the way we're going to do it is we're going to call the Publishers Clearinghouse number and give them our information, and then they can they can go to the Attorney General, okay? If they were like in some other country,
right,
they can have them extradited to the U.S. for prosecution.
That's good.
Yeah. And they come to the U.S., get prosecuted. I get to go in court. I get to go. Oh yeah, here. You ever see somebody do this? Like. Okay. It's like, here, instead of the other finger, still a birdie finger. But I mean, I think that's worse because that's like saying you don't even deserve to have a genuine birdie finger flipped at you. You're so
Right.
fake and so unreal and so such a piece of shit.
Talking about fake, okay. I wanted to touch base a little bit on the Benito murder, and I gotta say, with the fact that Brian Laundrie's parents have so much money and so many connections, he could easily be in Paris. And I mean, who would know that better than an ex-girlfriend?
Well, yeah, and then
or a friend.
Let's go back on that one. You see, I got to, since you mention it, mention it. It's like what makes me wonder about the whole deal is like, well, they found a skull and a jawbone. And then they're trying to say he committed suicide, and he was only in the water for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, just a couple weeks.
2-3 weeks.
And what really got me was...
You know what? Even putrefied water, even acidic water, if it's high acid, if it's high salt, it ain't going to take you into that far of a degradation in 2 weeks. People go to the bottom of the ocean. They go down there. It takes years for their skin to decay and fall off. And for their bones to start decaying, the tendons start to break down. Years, not weeks. So these people are full of shit.
Not to mention, I mean, come on, how do you mistake his mom, which is like sort of short and plump compared to him, which is like a skinny rail? I mean, come on.
I think the district attorney needs to look at that case. Why didn't we call him? Why don't we become proactive in it and say, hey, all this shit don't add up about this. You need to look at this case.
No, it don't. It really
None of
don't.
it adds up.
Mm-mm.
It all looks like